I've spoken to you throughout this entire video series about the importance of you preparing yourself and your presentation in the moment that you meet someone who can change your reality. I encouraged you to find a guide to help you get prepared, and if you've not done that, it's unlikely that you're ready to present your product to chain stores. For sure, there are things that you don't know about this business, and when a retail chain buyer asks you a question and you have no idea what you're talking about, they're going to think that you're more trouble than you're worth. In this video, I want to talk to you about finding a person to assist you in your journey and finally, in your product placement. But before we discuss that, let me talk about a few other topics that you're going to be expected to know. This is in no way meant to be legal advice, but before you start showing your product on a national level, it is wise to have protected yourself with any patents which may be appropriate. If someone can simply copy your idea without legal consequence, then what unique value does it have? It is also appropriate to note that having a patent is one thing, and having the money to defend your patent against a huge conglomerate is quite another. Please make sure you've gotten adequate legal advice about protecting yourself in the market. Almost all retail chains will require that you have some type of general liability insurance policy in which they are named, and possibly product liability insurance as well. This can be wildly different between retail chains and product categories, but in general, expect that the larger the chain, the more insurance you're going to need. If you are properly prepared, and if you had a meeting with a retail chain buyer today who liked your product, it's going to take on average about a year for you to get onto store shelves. Remember when we talked about planograms and how buyers must plan their shelf space months and months in advance? So here's what normally happens after that first successful meeting with a chain store. The buyer is going to express that they have interest in your product. Then they're going to start really researching you and have you start checking boxes. Meanwhile, they're going to have discussions with superiors and colleagues in order to get buy-in. Unless all your ducks are extremely in a row in that first meeting, don't have the expectation of a purchase order. Expect more in-depth communication and dialogue. Be prepared to be patient. Obviously, in smaller chains, placement can happen quicker, but don't expect that to be in just days or weeks. It is highly unlikely that any chain is going to buy your prototype. They're going to need to see a retail-ready sample of your goods to even consider it. Even if a chain saw a prototype they really liked, they'd tell you to send a production sample as soon as it's ready. In other words, you need to have manufactured some of your product already and have it in hand, which brings us to manufacturing. This is not a product sourcing video, but you need to be ready to produce goods as you receive orders in a way that is acceptable to retail chains. There are plenty of countries to have product produced, but most people are dealing with China, so that's what I'll use as an example here. If you found your factory, quote unquote, through Alibaba, you have a serious issue. Most people who are having a product manufactured are several steps away from their factory, and this simply won't work for retail chain store sales. In other words, there is a trading company who is contacting a trading company who is contacting a trading company who is talking to the factory. Therefore, anytime communication needs to go back and forth, the exchanges are slow and sloppy, not much better than two cans and a piece of string. You will need a trading company that is in direct contact with the factory that is producing your goods. You need someone on the ground in China who speaks English unless you speak Mandarin, someone who's going to get back to you quickly with answers to your questions. Your sourcing agent will need to know about factory audits, lab testing, logistics, and they need to be someone who can make sure your production time can meet your customers' expectations. Remember that in terms of landmass, China is almost exactly the size of the United States. Having someone who understands inter-country freight forwarding, dock inspections, etc. will be very helpful. Which brings us to you needing an inspection company that is completely separate and trustworthy from your trading company. This sets up an independent process whereby the people selling you the goods cannot be the ones inspecting the goods to be correct. You'll also be needing a freight forwarder, that is a shipping company, from China to the United States, and a customs broker to handle your import paperwork on this end. The entire manufacturing and shipping from China process can be daunting, another area where many times it's so much more cost effective to have an expert involved. It is very common these days for chains to buy product on quote-unquote guaranteed sale, which basically means they're buying it on consignment. The product a lot of times only gets paid for on a scan, which means that the stores are only going to pay the brand as the product actually sells and goes out the door. Then, in any guaranteed sale situation, if the product doesn't sell in time, they return all the product to the brand for full credit. If you have the means to do this, it can be a great incentive for chains to take on your brand. If not, it can be a serious hindrance. This is definitely something to speak with your reality changer about ahead of time. If you do this and your product doesn't sell, then you'll be asked to mark it down, which could be damaging to other marketing efforts as you are then out of control of your price. Most chains are going to expect 60-day or more credit terms on their first order. Asking for 120 days on a first order is not uncommon. No matter what expert, manufacturer's rep, or reality changer you encounter, they're going to expect that you have the banking finance ability to carry the paper, which means to extend credit terms to these chains. Whenever you speak with a manufacturer's rep or your reality changer, be prepared to discuss your financial ability to place product at retail. I've harped continually about you getting your website and your social media and all of your marketing correct. And the reason is that when a rep sees someone, a brand, who has not properly prepared their marketing face, they'll instantly think, well, if they've not done that, they don't have the financial wherewithal to go through the product placement process. I've talked to you all throughout this video series about you contacting a person who's going to help you on your journey, a reality changer. Again, what I'm talking about when I say reality changer is a manufacturer's rep or product expert that has a proven track record of placing product at retail in your category or industry. I see many people who are just starting out and they want their product immediately at Walmart or Target or Home Depot or Best Buy, and that simply isn't realistic. There are most certainly manufacturers' reps who sell to these chains every day, but before you contact them, may I suggest you garner some smaller successes first? Learn to climb a hill before you decide to tackle Mount Everest. I hope through what we've discussed, you've grasped the sheer number of moving pieces that can be involved in retail placement. The best strategy is this: before you make a run at the major leagues, find someone to help you earn fame in the minor leagues first. Finding a manufacturer's rep to help you get placement at a smaller retail chain is easier and less expensive than trying to land Walmart or Target as a client from day one. And finding a manufacturer's rep who will assist you by making sure that your product is ready before you attempt your first placement is one of the soundest investments you can make. They can help you prepare and help you avoid any number of pitfalls that will cause delays, loss of profits, and customer dissatisfaction. You want to find someone with the product placement experience equal to your readiness in the market. If you are ready to sell to small chains, find that person. If you've already been selling to smaller chains, then look for a rep who sells to larger chains, knowing that when you find him or her, you'll be able to quickly relate your earlier successes and get their attention to work with you. There is a myth in the world that all manufacturers' reps work on straight commission. Please allow me to correct that for you. Manufacturers' reps work for commissions on lines that are already successful. If you have no sales success already, then you need to be prepared to pay an hourly rate or a monthly retainer until you do. But please don't be that person who expects others to work for free on their behalf. As your brand is getting off the ground, find someone who will consult with you for a reasonable hourly rate. Think about what your doctor or lawyer makes by the hour to give out their advice. A manufacturer's representative is no different. Someone who has been in the business for 5 years will be much cheaper than someone who's been at it for 20 years. Without hesitation, can I say, you're going to get what you pay for. A manufacturer's rep who will take on your brand for commission only probably isn't going to work on it too hard unless it starts producing wildly. What they'll do is they'll show it around some, and when they don't start getting orders, they'll just drop you like a hot potato. If you want a real sales effort, you'll need to pay for it. I hope you don't work for free. I don't work for free, and I don't know any rep that's worth their salt who works for free. If you aren't prepared to pay them to help you, your chances of real product placement are very slim. We've talked about this a lot, but it's worth saying again. When you start looking for someone, the number one key is that they have already placed product where you want to go. Make sure they can talk to you about brands similar to yours that they've already represented and give you details about those successes. Think about the value of speaking with someone who has already gotten a number of products placed at retail. It's worth paying them more because they will get you there quicker and cleaner than someone cheaper with less experience. The most successful reps I ever worked with in my career were very humble people, the opposite of arrogant. A good manufacturer's rep serves his retail chain customers by bringing them products that will help them make money. Make certain the person you choose as your reality changer is someone who treats you with kindness and respect. When you find your reality changer, undoubtedly they are going to require an agreement between the two of you for both consulting now and commissions if and when there's product placement. Please hear me when I say this in no uncertain terms. You need a good attorney. I do not know the potential of your product, but anytime there is a contract being signed, you need a good legal counsel. If you sign something you don't understand, you could end up entangling your marketing efforts for years to come. Don't agree easily to large exclusive territories or exclusives on major chain stores until you really understand what the potential is behind your product offering. And again and again and again, let me say, you need to talk to an attorney. The very best reps in the world rep the top brands in the world. If right out of the gate you approach one of these reps, you'll need something that seems like it has more potential than the brands they're already representing. The chances of them paying attention to you is very small. But if you've paid attention all along to what I've said, your value proposition is spot on, your website is polished, your social media content is current, and you've done some grassroots campaigning. You've partnered with folks and you've built a loyal base of fans. You've hired a manufacturer's rep as a consultant to get you through the rough spots, and you've gotten some limited success with placements at smaller retail chains. If you've done all these things, then you're ready for the big guns. At this point, kind people, if you followed all these steps, then you've done all that you can do. You've checked all the right boxes. Now it's time to reach out to a serious reality changer, someone that can get you placed at major national retail. And when they ask you the tough questions, you'll have the right answers so that they'll know you're a brand that they can work with, a cut above the rest. Wishing you the ultimate in success. I'm John Clark.